All right, we are live. It went live that fast. Okay, so we are live on all platforms. Hey, everybody. We are apparently live. I am learning how to handle this. I'm going to there's a comments thing where I can actually view comments, so hopefully we get that. I am with Lance Price and TiAnna Hale for the Love of Vets. We are doing our first live show on StreamYard. And if you guys don't mind, I want to look to see if it's live. So don't think I'm ignoring you, but I'm very curious to see what's going on, to see if I can actually see it. But that's kind of the trials and tribulations of what's happening in today's world. It says I'm live on LinkedIn, so we must be live.
Yeah,
yep, there we are. Okay, so welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to need a giant martini after this. Oh, yeah, I am seeing the comments. So Tina Lynch says, hey, TiAnna. Hi, Lance. Okay, good. So this is working. Hallelujah. All right, so enough about me and my technology problems. We're here to talk about you guys and for the love of vets. So TiAnna, I'll start with you. Give us a little background on you. Your background and then how you got involved. We'll eventually get to how you all got involved with For the Love of Vets.
So I am actually a caregiver to a wounded warrior. My husband served in Iraq in 2000. Well, he served a long time, but he was injured in 2010, and so I've been caring for him since then. He has seizures and brain injury and that sort of thing, and so we've just adapted and overcome, just like what we're doing now. It feels a little reminiscent of when he first got hurt, actually, because medical issues and financial issues, because I quit my job to take care of him, and then we were isolated unless it was for medical reasons, so finding Lance, we ran into each other, and he was already working on some really amazing things with music. And then I'm a big advocate for mental health. And my husband also has PTSD, and I do a lot of different things. We work with Mission Continues and a lot of different VFW and that sort of thing. And, for me personally, I want to make sure, our kids that are taking care of our veterans, their parents or whatever, I want to make sure they don't get lost in the shuffle too, because they're caregivers too. And so we kind of joined forces with Lance is also a veteran, and so it was just a nice match to bring music and mental health and making sure that we're caring for our veterans and our caregivers.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks to your husband for his service.
Thank you.
All right, Lance, tell us a little bit about you, my friend.
Oh, wow. What would you like to know? Pre-open book. I spent a few years in the military with a few deployments under my belt. Have similar medical issues as TiAnna's husband does. I think that's one of the things that kind of brought us together, because there was a lot of similarity when my wife and her met. And there was a big discussion that turned into an idea that is now turned into For the Love of Vets. There was so many different things that we talked about. We talked about there's military caregivers like TiAnna and my wife out there that have questions that other military caregivers may be able to provide, but there's no real platform for these spouses or even kids that are caregivers for their mom or dad because of an injury, military injury, to get together and talk to one another to help one another out. For the Love of Vets is all about helping one another, and it's all for the love of vets. That's the reason why we do everything that we do, is for the love of vets. Every veteran that's died, every Marine that I've lost, and no matter what military branch or anything, that's what For the Love of Vets is. Everything that we're going to do, we're doing it for them.
And you told me a little bit of your story before we went live, but I don't know if anybody knows you served you're a veteran.
I am.
So tell us a little bit about that. And your wife is also a veteran.
Correct. My wife went in the Marine Corps straight out of high school. She's a Central Florida resident prior to that. We met in North Carolina while I was in the military. I actually didn't even know either one of us were in the military at the time. But I've done multiple combat deployments, and in my combat deployments and everything, I've always had a purpose as a veteran. As a military member, I always had a purpose. Once you become a veteran, whether you're medically retired or retire on your own, or you just do 5 years and get out, you still have that compassion to have a purpose. And one of the things that I ask for my fellow veterans throughout Central Florida is to help come together to help our youth, to show them leadership skills and everything that we learned in the line of duty to make them stronger citizens and to strengthen our community throughout.
So let me ask you, TiAnna. Tell me about what you see is the greatest need, or what some of the greatest unmet needs are that you all are seeing for the love of vets or in the veteran community.
I personally, I see that, community engagement is something that can fulfill anyone, not just our veterans or their caregivers, but I feel like community engagement can really address a lot of our mental health issues. And I think we have to make sure that the teenagers don't get left out of this conversation. A lot of times in all aspects of everything, I feel like that the teens, because they kind of get in their teenage moods and that sort of thing. And so some people say, oh, well, they're difficult, so let's not, let's not even put our time and that sort of thing in there. But sorry, rambled a little bit, but I want to make sure that people aren't getting lost in the cracks. And now with the changing times and with this COVID-19, and we're in a trauma-filled world right now. And that crack that I was already worried about just got a lot larger. And we have to make sure that we're mentoring, that we are there for each other, and that we know that we're not alone. Mental health, I think, is one of our biggest challenges right now, is making sure we're addressing it and addressing it appropriately. And so I think we can do that with some community engagement, some doing things that Lance was kind of already talking about. But mental health is the number one issue I see.
And then how about you, Birdman, in the background? You got lots of birds and all sorts of animals in the background there, Lance. Tell me about from your perspective as a vet, where do you think some of the greatest unmet needs are?
I honestly think our younger veterans get kind of put by the wayside at times. When someone thinks of a veteran, they think of our Vietnam veterans, which are a great group of people to serve behind, and everything they did is awesome. Some people may look at me and call me a hero, but I don't look at that. But there's Vietnam veterans that came home and did what they did, and came home to not very happy crowd. To me, those are my heroes, because they still did what they had to do, even though it was frowned upon by many. They had a mission and they fulfilled it to the best of our ability in that situation.
So let me ask you guys, and I've got static. So TiAnna, it's definitely coming from you, but that's okay. I'm gonna put your mic on in a second. But it's okay. It happens. We're all learning this platform, right? I had a whole bunch of people when I posted the promos, ask what they can do, because I think a lot of non-vets, a lot of allies, they want to do good. They want to help out the veteran community, the military community, but they don't know how. And sometimes there's a lot of groups out there. They don't know how to maneuver through all of them. They don't know what's the best way to get involved and to show that they care and to help out. Can you guys give us some insight? And I'll start with you, Lance, and then I'll go back to you, TiAnna.
Well, I can tell. I mean, first off, especially when it comes to veterans, there's no veteran that I've ever met that's looking for a handout. A hand up, maybe, yes, we all need a hand up from time to time, but a handout is not what we need. And just respect and understanding, and not just me as a veteran or all veterans, just respect to your country, as the respect that's ingrained in those that serve. Probably been ingrained to us from the day that we were born, because we do end up serving. But America's got to come together as one again. It's all there is to it. We have to help one another. As an individual, we're nothing, but as a group, we're one of the strongest nations. I mean, we are we are the strongest nation in the world. You know, and it's yeah. So that's how I feel about it.
All right, I'm going to unmute you, TiAnna. Sorry, here we go. So tell us about what do you think? How can an ally, how can a non-vet, non-military person get involved and make a big impact? What's the easiest way for them to figure out how to give back?
Absolutely. The first thing is we're building a database right now of our veterans that want to serve other veterans and their families. And their caregivers. We want to be able to make calls to them, do some FaceTime, whatever, Zoom, whatever the platform may be, and do some peer support for our veterans and caregivers and the kids. So that's our first thing that we're working on right now. We were working, and we're still working hard on an event for next year. So Joe Bachman is a country music singer, and he's one of our performers. And so we are doing a concert, and then we're going to have R&R tents and that sort of thing for our veterans to have a retreat to go to for when it's too much. And so they can still enjoy it, and then have areas for both our teens that have the video game truck and all that kind of stuff that really want them to come and enjoy. And we'll have kind of like breakout events, so they have time with their family, but they can go and hang out with the kids. And it'll be we'll have mental health counselors there. So we'll touch on some tough topics, but for the most part, it'll be a nice, relaxing family day. That what people don't realize is I love events. I absolutely love events, but it's really hard for me as a caregiver, because I'm split between taking care of Keith and whatnot, and so this will be a really nice event that we're even going to have areas where the caregivers can go and fill out necessary paperwork, and have a kids area with sensory tents and that sort of thing, so that that we're touching on all those little areas that kind of get left behind, because you're always in that survivor mode.
Yes.
And just trying to keep your head above water, and we just want to make sure we have an event that they can enjoy as a family, and have the resources there that can help them wherever it is they need it.
Have you, TiAnna? Have you seen? Oh, go ahead. Sorry. There you go.
The main thing is building the contacts that want to be helpful, and we're going to end up doing community projects and that sort of thing, which we do with Mission Continues. We built ramps for veterans that needed that kind of stuff. So we want to make sure we kind of hit those needs, because you think, especially if it's a male veteran and a female caregiver, a lot of those household things that you kind of forget about, the honey-do list, they kind of get put to the side, because that's just life. So hopefully we'll have some honey-do lists to kind of let other veterans, and it doesn't even have to be veteran, but to be able to come in and do some of the little jobs and stuff like that that's needed. And so just putting your name on that database, send Lance or I an email, we'll plug you in there, and then as we have projects come up, we'll send out emails and
Love it.
sign up.
Have you seen, TiAnna, an increase in a request or a need for services that COVID-19's been going on?
I didn't hear you. I apologize.
Have you seen an increase in need since we've been quarantined and coronavirus is going on?
Most definitely. Some of the things that are kind of getting routed other directions and stuff. We have a caregiver over in Chuliota whose husband has ALS, and she's had trouble getting supplies that are kind of being routed to the hospitals and stuff right now. That it kind of gets forgotten that those are desperate needs there too, trying to keep them well enough and healthy during all this. So that's been a big need. And then a lot of our caregivers, especially for this younger generation, are still parents. I mean, that didn't come out quite right, but they're parents of smaller children. And so now, they were able to send them off to school and that sort of thing, and caregive and that sort of thing. And now they're having to juggle both, or, adding more pressures in there and that sort of thing. So those are all some really big things that are just adding on to an already stressed system. And so just trying to fill in those gaps as much as we can,
Absolutely. How about you? Have you seen an increased request, Lance, on your end because of coronavirus?
Well, on my end's a little different. That's why I said me and TiAnna goes a long way. I'm the one on the other side of the spectrum. And yeah, I definitely personally can say that when you put a hamper on things and you're used to a routine, especially with someone with PTSD, TBI type capacities, you may not always get where you want to go, but you want the opportunity to be able to get there.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm like, what's the easiest way to explain it? But yeah, it's really rough. You get, like I said, you get into that routine. Most of us that's dealt with the PTSD for a while, they learn that routine helps because there's certain triggers and stuff like that. Once you go further into learning your PTSD, you learn to how to help yourself with the triggers instead of avoid such triggers and stuff of that nature. But the triggers are still there. The triggers are never going to go away, and you can't burden yourself so much to where you don't have a life. You've got to have a life, because for some reason you're still here, and you got to do what you got to do for the veterans that are not, and that's what For the Love of Vets is all about to me.
And I love what you said, because I want to comment. I had people ask me about the isolation part, veterans who are experiencing PTSD, who have PTSD, and the added isolation by them not being able to go out, like feeling that added pressure of, all right, I'm already kind of isolated, now I can't go anywhere, seems to be a theme. And I think that's what you were referring to earlier.
Absolutely.
All right, so
absolutely. I mean, I guess you would compare it to a cage for someone with such mental health issues. You now feel trapped. You don't have control of the situation, and control is very, very important when it deals with that type of mental health. So.
All right, so tell me how it's best for people to get, and I'm going to unmute TiAnna now. How is it best for somebody to get in touch with you guys, to get involved with For the Love of Vets? What's the best way to reach you?
We do have a Facebook page. I'll let Lance kind of touch on that, because he does a lot of that. I'm not social media savvy. So
I'm not either, but I do have a Facebook. We do have a Facebook page, so we have gotten that far. We do have a Facebook page. We do have a website. It has not been launched yet. A lot of stuff has not been launched yet because this was all coming together right before our great pandemic started that everybody was looking forward to. So a lot of things are coming together and pulling together, but we can be reached. I can be we can be reached via messages on For the Love of Vets site on Facebook. I try to keep up a today in military history every day, just so that something's being posted and people see that we are looking at the site and everything. We have cups available for the Love of Vets cups. If you're interested in that, just reach out to us. Like I said, message us on Facebook. At this time would probably be the best way to get in touch with us. You'd probably be talking to myself more than TiAnna, because TiAnna doesn't really do much of the social media side, but that's okay. We're learning as we get, so we're great.
I think we're all learning. All right. Thank you, Lance, for your service. Thank you to Keith for his service, TiAnna. Appreciate you both very much. So For the Love of Vets, guys, I'll tag them on the after post. Thank you both for being guinea pigs on the very first broadcast from this new platform. I think it went pretty well. I guess we're going to find out when I end the broadcast. But please reach out to them if you're a vet or interested in getting involved and want to do more for our veterans. Please reach out to one of them. Go to For the Love of Vets on Facebook. They're both very responsive, and thank you both so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us, Ted. We appreciate it.
It was awesome. We did it. All right. Thanks, guys, so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.